So as I had promised you guys earlier, I was going to come back here once the numbers have streamed in and patterns have gotten established. And then I was going to compare the earlier framework with the practicality of what's emerging. And when I did a scorecard on both candidates, the expectation in RAILA's case, he was supposed to attain 30% in Central and probably the Gamma Nation. He's doing 15 to 20% on average. And then so that factor, he did have an improvement, but it did not meet the threshold that would have made it certain for him to win. Not that he couldn't win, but make it certain beyond a reasonable doubt. We also expected that there would be a low voter turnout, which would work in his favor. That fell in place very well. But then when it came to his old strongholds, there was not only fears of turnout, but also he retained those regions, but he didn't perform at the expected percentages. So he did where he was expected to maintain very high percentages. He probably did 70, 60, 80. Okay. So where he's expected to do 90, he probably did 70 or 80. So those are dynamics that may affect him crossing the 50% plus one threshold. It doesn't mean that he can't, but it does lower the likelihood of him going past the 50% plus one. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes past that. But it's going to be due to other factors outside the framework that I elucidated in the morning. When it comes to RAILA, and based on the framework that I had elucidated earlier in my presentation, RAILA seems to have improved in Central and Upper Eastern. So he seems to be getting some 15 to 20% in Upper Eastern. The numbers are much better than he did in 2017 and 2013. So that's a plus. But then he doesn't meet the threshold of 30% within the Gamma Nation that he had wanted. Also, something else that worked in his favor is that there was a low voter turnout, especially in Central Kenya. When it comes to the old strongholds, RAILA did retain traditional ODM strongholds. So he retained those and then made some gains in the Gamma Nation. Now, what does that mean? It means that he did not perform to expectations, but he has one green in his scorecard. And then he's not having any red like RUTO did in his scorecard. So RAILA does not have any red, and he has a green, which RUTO does not have. RUTO has oranges and red. RAILA has oranges and green, which means he is average, but then he has one area in which a factor that works in his favor fell in place. So there is a higher chance of RAILA emerging top or being closer or past the 50% plus one. The chances of RAILA winning are higher than the chances of RUTO winning. That's what that framework, evaluation means. Now, it's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a long few days. And so it's up to us to watch and see what happens. So numbers did not come the way it's traditionally been done. where RAILA has won, RUTO lost, but not at low percentages as you would expect, where he should have performed at 20%, where he was expected to perform at 20%, he probably did 40. Where RAILA was expected to perform at 80 or 90, probably did 70 or 60. And so those kind of dynamics are what are going to determine who crosses the 50+1 threshold. A few hours ago when I did the very first video, I did highlight the fact that in order for RUTO to be on top of the game, he has to make upsets in Coast and Western. That did not happen. While RUTO improved the 2017 Jubilee numbers at the Coast, he did not make an upset. When you come to Western, he underperformed Uhuru. So that cancels out the Upper Eastern and the Kikuyu Nation, Gema Nation in general. He did not outperform Uhuru. So the net effect of that is that the chances of RUTO going past 50%+1 are minimal or completely vanquished. He does have a chance depending on how he performs in other metrics, but based on my framework, the chances of him clinching 50%+1 is very minimal. So RUTO may end up at the top at the end of the day, but it's very unlikely that he'll hit 50%+1 unless other factors come into play. This is what makes sense. And so if RUTO hits 50%+1, it's going to be very, very controversial.